I walked into a bar and saw my wife with another man. She froze. "Wait, please." I slipped my ring into her palm and walked away without a word. She chased me outside, shouting, "What does this mean?" It meant the chain I'd set in motion was already irreversible, and by morning, everyone she trusted would know exactly what I'd done. The place was called Harbor House, which was funny if you believed in jokes with teeth. Nothing about it felt like a house. It was all glass and dim gold light, the kind that made everybody look like they had something to hide and a reason to be proud of it. I hadn't planned to come out. Friday nights were for microwaved leftovers and pretending the couch was a neutral territory. Claire had said she had a client dinner, which was her way of saying, "Don't ask follow-ups." I let her go. I was tired in the bone-deep way that makes you mistake peace for a nap. Then my phone buzzed. A buddy from work, a guy named Devin, had texted, "You near the water? Come get a drink. You've been ghosting." I drove down there on a whim that felt like relief, like my body was trying to save me before my mind caught up. Inside, the air smelled like citrus and money. Somebody was laughing too loudly near the bar. A TV over the bottles played a game with the volume off, the players moving like mimes in a silent argument. I saw Claire before I saw her face. It was her posture, the way she leaned in like her spine had forgotten it belonged to her. Her hand on a man's forearm, fingers resting with the comfort of repetition. Not a quick touch, not a polite tap. A claim. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The man was Grant Hale. I knew the name the way you know the name of a storm headed for you. He was her boss, the golden executive, the kind of guy who shook hands like he was handing you a favor. His hand was at her lower back, corporate-friendly intimate, like the outline in my head labeled it. Just low enough to be private, just high enough to be deniable. Claire's eyes found mine and turned into two coins dropped in deep water, heavy, quiet, gone. "Wait, please," she said, like the word had been living in her mouth for weeks, waiting on the right disaster. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a glass. I didn't become the husband in a viral clip. I reached for her left hand. Her ring was there. Mine wasn't, because it was already halfway off. The metal felt cold, not sentimental, just a thing you could lose. I slid it into her palm and closed her fingers around it. She stared at it like it might bite. Then I walked away. Behind me, Grant cleared his throat. Not a gasp, not panic, annoyance, like I'd interrupted him ordering dessert. I kept moving. Past the hostess stand, past the coat hooks, past the big window that reflected the room like a fish tank full of dressed-up predators. Outside, the air hit my face sharp as a slap. The waterfront smelled like diesel and seaweed, like truth. Claire's heels clicked on the pavement as she ran after me. "Nate! What does this mean?" she shouted. I looked at her for the first time like she was a stranger asking directions. "It means I'm done," I said. "That's it? You're done?" she said, voice breaking like she was performing. "You don't even want to talk?" I wanted to yell. But yelling is free. I wanted something that cost. A couple near the valet turned their heads. A bartender stepped outside for a smoke and froze with a lighter in his hand. A man in a blazer. One of Claire's co-workers from the development firm, I recognized him from pictures, walked out and slowed when he saw her face. Witnesses, accidental and perfect. Grant came out a minute later, smiling like a man exiting a board meeting. He rested his hand on the back of Claire's neck, like he was calming a skittish dog. "You're making a scene," he said to me. I laughed once. It came out wrong. "I'm not making anything," I said. "I'm just finally seeing it." Claire's phone lit up in her hand. I caught the flash without meaning to. A calendar reminder, bold and neat. G. Penthouse. Bring the black dress. I didn't need to see more. I'd already memorized the shape of the lie. Grant's card flashed at the valet kiosk when he paid. Company card, the logo obvious even from the curb. Receipt trail. People like Grant loved using other people's money. It made their appetites feel legitimate. Claire reached for my arm. I stepped back, not dramatic, just clean. You don't understand, she said. I understand enough, I said. And I'm not going to compete with somebody who signs your paycheck. Grant's smile tightened. Careful, he said. Words have consequences. So do choices, I said. I got into my car before my hands started shaking where anyone could see. I drove 2 blocks and pulled over under a street lamp that flickered like it couldn't decide if it wanted to watch. In the glow, I opened my notes app and typed one line. Compliance doesn't care if I'm hurt. My thumb hovered. My heart felt like a dog straining at a leash. Then my phone buzzed again. Message request, unknown number. But the profile picture was a woman in a formal dress, standing beside Grant in a photo that looked like a magazine ad for a life that didn't exist. Rowan Hale. The message said, "Do you have a minute?" I stared at it until the street lamp stopped flickering and went steady, like it had made a decision. Claire came home at 2:10 a.m., soft-footed and smelling like a different shampoo. She moved through the house like she was in a museum and might set off an alarm. I stayed at the kitchen table with a mug of cold coffee I'd reheated twice and never tasted. The clock on the microwave read 2:11. Numbers didn't care if you were happy. They only cared if you were precise. Claire paused in the doorway. She tried on a small smile. It didn't fit. You went out? She said. Yeah, I said. My voice sounded normal. That scared me more than anger would have. She sat across from me and folded her hands like she was about to interview for a job. I can explain, she said. Sure, I said. Explain the calendar reminder. Her eyes flicked, fast, down and back up. A tell. What reminder? You know, I said. G, penthouse. Black dress. Her face went white at the edges. Then she did the thing I'd seen her do with clients. She adjusted. She polished her expression. She decided on a story. It's not what you think, she said. He's mentoring me. We talk about work. Mentoring, I said. The word tasted like rust. At a bar, with his hand on your back. She leaned forward. Nate, please, don't do this. Do what? I asked. Notice? She stood up too fast, chair scraping. I can't talk to you when you're like this, she snapped. Like what? Calm, watching, listening? She went upstairs and shut the bedroom door with a careful click, like she didn't want to wake the lie. I waited 5 minutes, then opened my laptop. I didn't break into anything. I didn't guess passwords. Claire and I shared a phone plan because she liked bundles. It saved money. It also saved men like me from going crazy when reality started to slip. The account page showed call and text logs, just numbers, dates, times, boring on purpose. That's what made it lethal. Grant's number popped like a bruise once you knew to look. Calls at 6:47 a.m., calls at 11:13 p.m. Text bursts that matched my evenings working late, the ones I'd thought were quiet time for her. I exported the billing log. I saved it in 2 places. Then I opened a new document and started a timeline like I was writing a report for the end of the world. At 8:02 a.m., I texted Tess. Need coffee today. And your brain. Tess worked with me in compliance, but she'd started in IT security. The kind of friend who didn't just give advice, she gave process. We met in the break room at work. She didn't ask if I was okay. She looked at my face and asked, "What happened?" I told her. Not the feelings, the facts. She nodded once. Okay, she said. Rule 1, no threats. Not in writing, not in texts, not in DMs. Rule 2, save everything, export everything, screenshots with timestamps. Rule 3, write down dates the same day you learn them. Memory gets edited. Like a press release, I said. Tess gave me a look. Exactly. And you're not going to be the guy who sends a press release. You're going to be the guy who submits an exhibit. I swallowed. Rowan Hale messaged me, I said. Tess's eyebrows lifted. Grant's wife? Yeah. Meet her in public, Tess said. Coffee shop, cameras, witnesses, daytime. That afternoon, I sat in a small coffee shop 2 blocks from a courthouse that looked like it had never forgiven anyone. Rowan walked in wearing a coat that probably cost more than my first car. She wasn't flashy. She was controlled. Her eyes were calm in the way an ER waiting room is calm, because panic doesn't help. Nate, she said, sitting down. I'm sorry to meet like this. Me too, I said. She didn't waste time. I've suspected Grant for months, she said. He's careful, but he's also arrogant. He thinks patterns are for other people. I slid my laptop slightly so she could see the exported log. This is the shared plan, I said. It's not a guess. She looked, and the calm in her face shifted into something colder. That's him, she said. That time slot. That's when he says he's in strategy calls. Rowan opened her bag and pulled out a folder like she'd been carrying it for years. Inside were copies of travel itineraries, hotel confirmations, and a printed screenshot of an email he'd sent her. Running late. Client thing. Don't wait up. She tapped the page with one nail. He's been using work as a blanket, she said. And your wife is convenient. The word convenient hit me harder than any insult. It meant Claire wasn't special. She was a tool he reached for when it suited him. Rowan leaned in. I'm not here to cry on your shoulder, she said. I'm here to end it, cleanly. I nodded. Same, I said. We set rules like we were negotiating a contract. No threats in writing, Rowan said. No fake evidence, I said. Everything backed up twice, she said. Witnesses matter more than rage, I finished. Rowan's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and exhaled through her nose like she'd been waiting for that exact vibration. She slid a printed invite across the table. Grant Hale Holiday Gala. 48 hours. Dress code, festive black tie. Location, his house. Rowan's eyes met mine. If you want people to understand the truth, she said, that room is where he feels safest. I stared at the invite. The paper felt heavy, like it had been soaked in future consequences. Claire texted me then, like a ghost trying to pretend it was still alive. Where are you? I didn't answer. Instead, I looked at Rowan and said, Tell me where the cameras are. The house was a glass cube on a hill, all clean lines and expensive certainty. You could see the city lights below like a pile of coins someone had spilled and never bothered to pick up. Claire wore a dress that looked like it had been chosen for a magazine cover. She adjusted her necklace in the car mirror and didn't look at me. You're being dramatic, she said, as if dramatic was the worst sin a person could commit. I'm being present, I said. She squeezed my arm when we walked in. Too hard. Warning, not affection. Music floated through the space, soft and calculated. People laughed with their teeth. Phones were out. Everything was content. That meant witnesses. That meant records. Rowan was already there, standing near a tall plant like she'd grown out of the floor. She held a drink but didn't sip it. She was sober on purpose. Grant spotted us and smiled like a man greeting employees, not guests. He wore a suit that fit like he'd been built for it, and he moved through his own house like gravity owed him money. Nate, he said, coming close, glad you could make it. You're a reliable guy. The words were soft, but the meaning was clear. Reliable like a dishwasher, reliable like a spare tire. I smiled back. Inside, my thoughts sharpened. When a man insults you in a house with that many cameras, he's basically begging for documentation. Nice place, I said. Must be exhausting keeping it all so transparent. Grant's eyes narrowed a fraction. He knew I was aiming at something, but he didn't know what. Claire drifted toward the kitchen, leaving me alone with him the way you leave a dog in a yard you're tired of. Grant leaned in. Claire's talented, he said. I've been helping her. She has potential. Potential, I repeated. He smiled. Don't be insecure. It's not a good look. The funny thing about humiliation is that it makes you want to swing. The smart thing about humiliation is remembering that swinging gets you escorted out, and paperwork is what I was here for. I positioned myself near an obvious camera in the corner, the kind people installed for safety and then forgot existed until it mattered. Rowan moved closer without seeming to. If you didn't know to watch her, you'd think she was just another rich woman making small talk. Grant's hand came up and poked my chest, light and dismissive. Relax, he said. His finger on me was a choice, his choice, my gift. A security guy at the doorway shifted, eyes on us. Good. Witness. I took a step back. Don't touch me, I said, steady. Grant's smile showed teeth now. Or what? I shrugged like I didn't care. Or you'll have to explain why you're putting hands on a guest in your home. He leaned closer. You don't want to do this, he murmured. People like me can make problems go away. Yeah? I said softly. I've noticed. Across the room, Rowan held her phone at chest level, screen dark. The camera lens pointed at Grant like a quiet accusation. She wasn't filming like a teenager. She was recording like a witness. Grant turned, unaware, and said, Claire knows what she wants. She's not a child. Rowan's gaze was steady on him. No, she said, voice light. She isn't. Grant laughed. Exactly. She's an adult making adult decisions. There it was. Not a confession, a framing, power imbalance, favoritism, bragging, threaded in a sentence he thought was safe. Claire returned then, eyes glossy with alcohol and adrenaline. She brushed past me and hissed, You're embarrassing me. I looked at her. You did that, I said. Her smile was sharp. You don't even have the courage to fight, she whispered. You just watch. That hurt, because it was true, and also because watching was what was saving me. I walked away on purpose, slow. The camera caught me leaving the confrontation. The security guy saw me choose not to escalate. Rowan's phone buzzed a minute later. She glanced down, then lifted her eyes to me with something like satisfaction. She texted me a screenshot, a company HR policy section, supervisor-subordinate relationships, disclosure requirements, retaliation. The words were clean, legal, and merciless. Her next message was 3 words. Tomorrow morning. 8. Wow. I stared at the screen while the party went on around me, people laughing at jokes that weren't funny, drinking drinks that tasted like status. Grant clapped a hand on Claire's shoulder across the room, a casual ownership he didn't bother to hide. Claire met my eyes once, and for the first time I saw fear there, not because she'd lost me, but because she'd realized I wasn't playing her game anymore. Rowan's final text came through as the music hit a chorus and everyone cheered like they'd been told to. Tomorrow morning, I want his board to wake up early. I put my phone in my pocket, smiled at nobody, and kept my hands steady. The diner we met in the next day smelled like burnt bacon and old coffee. It was the kind of place where the booths held secrets better than people did. Jack Morrow slid into the booth across from me like he'd been there the whole time, waiting for the world to catch up. He was a private investigator in the plain way. No trench coat, no fedora, just tired eyes and a notebook that looked like it had been through weather. You're Nate, he said. Yeah, I said. You're Jack. Jack, he confirmed. Rowan said you were organized. She said you were discreet, I replied. He nodded. Discreet costs extra, he said. So does fast. I paid for fast. Jack laid out the rules the way Tess would have. I don't trespass, he said. I don't hack. I don't plant trackers. I watch what happens in public. People do the rest. Turns out people do plenty. Over the next week, Jack gave me a folder that felt like it had weight beyond paper. Photos with timestamps. Grainy enough to look real, clear enough to make you sick. Claire and Grant entering a downtown hotel. Claire wearing the black dress from the reminder I'd seen. Grant holding the door like a gentleman, like a man who'd never done anything wrong in his life. Dates matched her work trips. Matched the nights she'd said she was too tired to talk. Matched the mornings she'd kissed me like a chore. One photo showed Grant handing Claire an envelope in the hotel lobby. Thick, tan, the kind of thing people use when they want money or documents to feel old-fashioned and serious. Jack didn't label it. He just let it sit there in the evidence like a fish left on the counter. Tess helped me package it. "Don't be dramatic," she said, flipping through the printouts. "Be boring." We built a PDF timeline. We listed witnesses, we attached the phone logs export, we saved originals, we wrote down how we got each thing. The USB drive felt heavier than it was when I held it in my hand. That's a Stephen King trick. Make a small object carry the weight of a curse. Except this wasn't a curse. It was accountability. Rowan joined us in the parking lot after work, stepping into the shadow of my car like she belonged there. She took the folder, flipped through it, and her jaw tightened once. "He's sloppy," she said, not pleased. "Or he thinks no one will dare." "He thinks he's untouchable," Tess said. Rowan looked at me. "And Claire?" she asked. I swallowed. "She thinks she's special," I said, "which might be worse." Jack leaned against the car and lit a cigarette he didn't smoke, just held between his fingers like a prop. "There's something else," he said. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "What?" Jack tapped one photo, Claire alone at an elevator, Grant hanging back, eyes on the camera like he knew where it was. "He's not just cheating," Jack said. "He's been setting her up to take the fall." The words slid into me like ice. "Setting her up for what?" I asked. Jack shrugged. "If this blows up, he wants distance. He wants to look like the victim of a subordinate who got obsessed. That envelope? Could be a gift, could be hush money, could be a here are the talking points packet. Either way, it's leverage." Rowan's mouth tightened into a thin line. "Of course," she said. "He always needs an exit." I looked at the photo again. Claire waiting alone. Grant in the background like a shadow that could detach from her when it suited him. I thought about her cruelty at the party, about her whisper, "You just watch." Maybe she was right. Maybe I had been watching. But watching was over. As I drove home, my phone buzzed with a message from Claire. "Can we talk tonight?" I didn't answer. I kept driving, hands steady on the wheel, the folder on the passenger seat like a sleeping animal, because I already knew where the next part would happen. A parking garage, cameras, and a man who'd never been scared enough in his life. Downtown garages smell like oil and stale air and stress. They're stacked like concrete beehives, full of people trying to get out without touching anybody else's life. I watched Grant Hale walk into one like he owned it. It was a Tuesday. He'd told his assistant, Jack had ears, he had a late meeting. Claire had told me she was meeting friends. Two lies headed for the same dark. I didn't need a gun. I didn't need a bat. I needed timing. I parked 2 levels up and waited. From the stairwell window, I could see the valet stand at the entrance. Earlier, I'd watched Grant drop his key fob there while he signed something, laughing with the valet like they were old friends. He left it on the counter for a full minute. People like him did that. They assumed the world would guard their stuff because the world wanted their approval. That was my opening. Not hacking, not magic, just arrogance. When Grant came back, he grabbed the fob without looking. He walked toward his SUV, suit jacket slung over one shoulder, posture loose. I followed at a distance, footsteps quiet on concrete. He reached his car. He opened the door. He tossed his jacket inside. That's when I slid the envelope under his windshield wiper. One photo, the hotel lobby, his hand on Claire's back. One sentence typed clean as a receipt, "Smile for your board." Then I stepped back into the shadow between 2 parked cars and pressed the panic button on the fob I'd bought online, a cheap Universal, programmed to mimic the signal from the minute I'd had his actual fob in my hand at the valet stand when I accidentally bumped into him earlier. Tess had called it feasible, legal gray if you stole the code. But I hadn't stolen anything. I'd used his negligence and a public pairing moment. Still, my pulse hammered like I was robbing a bank. The SUV's alarm screamed. Grant jumped, looking around like the world had slapped him. He fumbled with the door handle, then the fob, then the door again. The alarm kept wailing, echoing off the concrete like a siren in a nightmare. People turned, heads popped up from other cars, phones came out. CCTV watched from the ceiling with mechanical patience. Grant's face went red. Not fear yet. Rage. Then he saw the envelope. He tore it free, eyes scanning the photo, the sentence. His mouth opened slightly like he'd been punched in the stomach. He looked around, frantic now. That was the point. Not to hurt him. To make him feel watched. I stepped into view just long enough for the camera to catch my face, calm as a man waiting for an elevator. "You wanted a secret," I said, voice low but clear. "Now you get an audience." Grant's eyes locked on mine. For a second, he looked like he might actually understand consequences. Then he lunged, not at me, at the space between us, like he could close the distance and make this physical, make it simple. His fist rose half an inch, then stopped as he saw my hands at my sides, open. "Go ahead," I said. "I'd love a police report to attach." His fist hovered, shaking. His breath came hard. He lowered it slowly, like he was putting a weapon down in front of a judge. A car door slammed behind him. Claire's voice cut through the garage. "Nate?" She walked toward us, heels clicking, eyes wide, hair too perfect for a friend meetup. She saw Grant holding the photo. She saw the alarm still blinking. She saw me standing there like I belonged. Her face shifted fast, shock to fury to pleading. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "What you told me you wanted," I said. "Reality." Grant shoved the photo into his pocket like hiding it could undo it. "This is harassment," he snapped. "You're unstable." "Sure," I said. "Put that in writing." Claire grabbed my arm, her nails dug in. "Stop!" she hissed. "You're going to ruin everything." I looked at her hand on me and felt nothing warm. Only math. "I'm not ruining anything," I said. "I'm returning it." My phone buzzed. "Rowan. Email drafted. Send at 8Y?" I met Claire's eyes. "It's already done," I said. "You just don't know it yet." Grant's jaw flexed. "You think you can take me down?" he said, voice low. "I'll sue you. I'll do it," I said. "Discovery is going to be a fun read." For the first time, I saw real fear in Grant's face. Not the fear of getting punched, the fear of being seen. I walked away before my hands could shake, before I could feel anything that might weaken my steps. Behind me, Claire called my name like it was still hers to use. I didn't turn. At 7:58 a.m., I sat at my desk with my laptop open and my hands flat on the wood like I was holding myself down. Rowan's email sat in drafts on her screen. She'd shared it with me through a secure link. It was clinical. No rage, no adjectives, just facts and attachments. Recipients, HR Director Mina Holt, a board liaison, and an outside counsel inbox that looked like it had never smiled in its life. At 8:00 a.m., Rowan hit send. At 8:01, my inbox pinged. A calendar invite from HR, meeting, 9:30, mandatory. At 8:03, Claire called me. I let it ring. She called again. I let it ring. A third time. Then a text. "What did you do?" At 9:29, I walked into the HR conference room at Grant's company with Rowan. The building was all glass and polished stone, like it was trying to convince everyone it was innocent. Mina Holt sat at the table with a laptop and a face that didn't belong to anyone's side. That's what made her dangerous. HR wasn't there to love you. It was there to protect the company. Sometimes that meant protecting you. Sometimes it meant slicing you clean off like rot. Mr. Calder, Mina said. Mrs. Hale. Rowan, Rowan corrected gently. Mina nodded. We've received allegations, she said. We're initiating an investigation. I need to be clear. Retaliation against any reporting party or witness is prohibited. Grant wasn't there. That was a message in itself. Mina's gaze moved to the folder Rowan set on the table. Is this the packet referenced? Yes, Rowan said. Mina opened it and began to review like she was reading grocery coupons. Photos, phone logs, event witness names, timeline. When she reached the parking garage incident, her eyes flicked up. Mr. Calder, she said, did you confront Mr. Hale in a garage on Tuesday night? I spoke to him, I said, in a public space with cameras. Did you trigger his vehicle alarm? I hesitated. Tessa's voice echoed. No lies, cleanly. I caused him to notice he was being watched, I said carefully. I did not damage property. I did not threaten him. Mina's expression didn't change. Noted, she said. Then she closed the folder and folded her hands. We also received a report from Mr. Hale this morning, she said. Rowan's eyes sharpened. Of course you did, she murmured. Mina looked at me. Mr. Hale claims you threatened him, she said. He claims you said you would destroy him. For a second, the room felt smaller, like the air had thickened. Rowan's jaw set. Did he provide evidence? She asked. Mina's fingers tapped once on the table. A statement, she said, and he suggested you've been harassing him. I leaned forward. I didn't threaten him, I said. And if he says I did, ask for the video. The garage has CCTV. His building has CCTV. His party has CCTV. He touched me at his party. He poked my chest. I walked away. I have witnesses. Mina nodded like she'd expected that. We will request footage, she said, and we will interview witnesses. In the interim, Mr. Hale has been placed on administrative leave. Access suspended pending review. Rowan exhaled once, slow. That was the sound of a first domino falling. Mina turned her laptop slightly and read another line. We'll also need to speak with Ms. Calder, she said. Rowan's eyes moved to me. Claire, she said, voice flat. Mina continued. Given the allegations, Ms. Calder will also be placed on leave from her company if there's a vendor relationship conflict. My company? I asked, thrown. Mina's gaze didn't waver. Your wife's firm does business with Mr. Hale's development partners, she said. We've already contacted their HR. Claire had thought she'd be collateral at worst. Not a target, not a subject, not a liability. My phone buzzed with a flood of messages. Unknown numbers, whispered warnings, people tasting gossip like candy. A text from Claire finally came through, all caps like she was screaming into glass. You ruined me. I stared at it. Then I typed back one sentence, public in its calm even in private. You did that. I just stopped covering for you. Mina stood. This meeting is concluded, she said. Mr. Calder, please remain available. Mrs. Hale, my assistant will coordinate further. Rowan rose, smooth. She looked at me and said quietly, He played the threatened card. He's panicking. Good, I said. As we walked out into the lobby, the badge scanners beeped with a steady rhythm. People swiped, doors opened, doors closed, and somewhere upstairs, Grant Hale was realizing that his building no longer recognized him. Rowan's house was quiet in a way that made you hear your own thoughts. Expensive quiet, the kind you pay for when you want the world outside to be smaller. Claire arrived an hour after I did, eyes puffy and furious, as if rage could undo emails. She stood in Rowan's living room like she didn't know where to put her hands. She looked at me as if I'd become someone else overnight. You did this, she said, voice shaking. You sent that. I witnessed what you did, I said. Then I documented it. Rowan didn't offer her water. That told me everything about where this was going. Claire's voice rose. Grant promised me things, she said. He said I was next in line. He said... Rowan cut in, calm. He says a lot, she said. He prints some of it too. She walked to a side table and picked up an iPad like it was just another accessory. Grant forgot to log out, she said, or he assumed I wouldn't look. She tapped the screen and turned it toward us. Draft emails, notes. A document titled Talking Points, Claire. My stomach tightened. Rowan scrolled, and the words were ugly in their neatness. If questioned, emphasize you pursued him. Mention he tried to stop you. Suggest you became unstable when rejected. Delete message threads. Keep only the ones where you ask for attention. Claire's face went slack. That's not, she started. That's him, Rowan said. Setting you up to take the fall, just like Jack said. Claire's mouth opened and closed. Her eyes darted like a trapped animal. He said it was to protect us, she whispered. He said if anyone found out, we had to be careful. He said you were convenient, I said, before I could stop myself. Claire flinched like I'd slapped her. Rowan's voice stayed level. He's coming here, she said. He texted me that he needs to talk. He thinks he can control this. What do you want from me? Claire asked, suddenly small. Rowan looked at her like she was measuring damage. The truth, she said, out loud, in front of the right person. Claire's eyes narrowed. You're going to destroy him, she accused. Rowan's smile was thin. No, she said. He's going to destroy himself. I'm just holding up a mirror. Claire turned to me then, desperation surfacing. Nate, please, she said. I didn't mean... I cut her off. I didn't yell. I didn't swear. I chose precision. You didn't just cheat, I said. You volunteered to be someone's weapon. Silence filled the room like smoke. Claire swallowed. He threatened me, she said. He said he'd ruin me if I talked. He knows people. He knows how to look clean, Rowan said. A car door slammed outside. Rowan's head tilted slightly, like she was listening for a monster under the bed. Grant walked in without knocking. That alone told me he still thought this was his world. He froze when he saw me. Then he smiled like a man stepping onto a stage. Nate, he said. Buddy, listen, this has gotten out of hand. Rowan's voice was honey over steel. Sit, she said. Grant's eyes moved to Claire. What are you doing here? He demanded, irritation flashing. Claire shrank back. Grant pointed at Rowan. You're making this messy, he said. We can handle this privately. I lifted my phone. I'm recording, I said, for my attorney. Grant's smile faltered. Turn that off, he snapped. No, I said. Rowan stepped closer. You told her what to say, she said, holding up the iPad. You drafted her talking points like she was a PR crisis. Grant's face hardened. You went through my stuff, he hissed. Rowan laughed softly. You left it logged in, she said. Again with the arrogance. Grant's gaze shot to Claire. Did you show her? Claire's voice broke. You were going to blame me, she said. You were going to make me the crazy one. Grant's jaw flexed. I was protecting us, he said. You don't understand how these things work. Rowan opened the front door wider. Come in, Grant, she said. I already invited the one person you can't intimidate. Footsteps crossed the threshold. A woman in a suit entered with a calm smile that didn't reach her eyes. She carried a slim briefcase and the kind of authority you can't buy with charm. Mr. Hale, she said. I'm Dana Mercer, outside counsel for your board. Grant's face drained of color in real time. He tried to speak. No sound came out at first, like his throat had forgotten how to lie when it mattered. Dana set the briefcase on the table and looked at each of us in turn. We're going to have a conversation, she said, and we're going to do it properly. Grant swallowed hard. This is unnecessary, he croaked. Dana's smile sharpened. If it were unnecessary, she said, you would still have badge access. Grant's eyes flicked toward his phone, like he might run. But you can't outrun a room you've already entered. Rowan sat, composed. Claire stared at the floor. I kept my phone recording, hands steady, and for the first time, Grant Hale looked like a man who understood what it felt like to be trapped without a fist to blame. The next morning, the lobby of Grant's building was crowded with people pretending not to watch. Glass walls, polished floors, and the quiet buzz of a company finding out its king had feet made of clay. Grant walked in like he still owned the air. Then he swiped his badge. Red light. He swiped again, harder. Red light. The security guard at the desk stepped forward, face neutral. Mr. Hale, he said, I need you to come with me. Grant's head snapped up. This is a mistake, he said loudly, the way men do when they want the room to become their witness. The guard didn't flinch. Your access has been suspended, he said. Please. Grant looked around at the employees in the lobby, people he'd smiled at, people he'd used, people he'd assumed would keep their eyes down. Nobody moved to help him. He glanced at me. I was there because Mina had asked me to provide additional context, and because I wanted to see the end with my own eyes. Claire showed up 10 minutes later, hair pulled back, face bare. No armor today. She looked like a person who'd walked into a fire and expected the flames to respect her. She spotted me and marched over. Fix this, she hissed. I handed her a folder, divorce filing, financial disclosures, a note taped to the top in my handwriting. You wanted excitement. Here's paperwork. Claire stared at it like it was a foreign language. You can't, she whispered. I can, I said, and I am. Her eyes filled. For a second, I saw the woman I'd married behind the mess, scared, human, lost. Then I remembered the cruelty in her whisper at the party, the way she'd enjoyed my pain like it proved her power. I didn't comfort her. Grant tried to push past the guard. This is illegal, he barked. Dana Mercer appeared near the elevators, her presence quiet but absolute. She spoke to the guard. The guard nodded. Grant's shoulders slumped a fraction, then stiffened again. He was going to turn this into a fight if he could. He jerked his chin toward the stairs. Nate, he said, you and me, now. The guard hesitated. Dana watched. Mina stood at a distance, expression unreadable. I followed Grant up to the rooftop parking level because I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of calling me afraid. Also because rooftops had cameras too, and I knew where they were now. Wind hit us hard, the city spread out below, gray and honest. Grant spun on me. You think you're clever, he said. You think you can ruin me and walk away? I'm walking away, I said. The ruining part is just documentation. He stepped close, trying to fill my space. I'll sue you, he said. I'll bury you. You'll never work in compliance again. I met his eyes. Then, you'll want to see this, I said. I held up a tablet with a folder open. Witness statements, CCTV request confirmations, and an email from IT security showing that Grant had accessed internal systems to pull up my personal information. Retaliation. Stalking. The kind of thing boards love to punish because it threatened the company. Grant's breath caught. You did that, I said. Not me. You did it because you thought you were above rules, and now the rules know your name. He backed up half a step, then tried another angle. Claire came after me, he said quickly. She pursued me. Claire's voice cut in behind us. Stop, she said. We turned. She stood by the door to the stairwell, holding the divorce folder like it weighed 100 pounds. Rowan stood beside her, calm as ever. Grant's face tightened. You, he spat at Rowan. You did this. Rowan's eyes didn't blink. She lifted her hand and slid her wedding ring off, slow. Then she walked forward and dropped it into Grant's palm the same way I'd dropped mine into Claire's. Grant stared at the ring, confused, like he couldn't understand a gesture that wasn't for show. Rowan leaned in and said softly, "What does this mean?" Grant's mouth opened. No sound came out. Rowan stepped back. "It means it's already too late to stop what you did," she said. The guard came through the door then with Dana, and the sound of footsteps on concrete carried like judgment. "Mr. Hale," Dana said, "you are to leave the premises immediately. Your employment is terminated for cause." Grant's face broke, not into tears, but into emptiness. A man realizing his charm was just noise now. He looked at me one last time, hatred trying to find purchase. I didn't give him any. Down below, the city kept moving. Cars flowed. People lived their little lives. None of them knew what it cost to turn a lie into a fact. Claire clutched the divorce papers. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time since Harbor House, she didn't look angry. She looked exposed. I walked past her to the door and my voice came out quiet, final. "I didn't win you back," I said. "I returned you to the world exactly as you treated me. Public, exposed, and finally honest." I pushed the door open and left them in the wind. On the way down, I didn't take the elevator. I took the stairwell, because stairs make you count your breathing, and I needed numbers again. Halfway to the lobby, my phone lit up with a final notification from Mina. All parties informed. Building access revoked. Investigation closed with findings. 3 sentences, colder than any apology. In the glass doors below, I caught my reflection. Tie crooked, knuckles pale, eyes wide like a man who'd just walked out of a storm cellar and found the sky still there. Outside, a cluster of employees watched Grant's security escort pass like they were watching a parade they'd been told not to clap for. Outside, the wind carried up the faint echo of the lobby, badge scanners chirping, doors locking, a kingdom rearranging itself without him. I didn't look back. I just kept walking until the rooftop noise was gone and my pulse finally obeyed me. Not one more word. Ever.